Oh, finally got round to actually doing this. This is Monday's episode, 11th of October. The prompt was bush court. My first thought was, is this a court made of bushes? Is this a court attended by bushes? Is that bushes as in people who are actually bushes? Or people whose name is Bush? And I decided the answer to these questions was yes. So, the first thing I did was try and figure out how to use a symmetry ruler, because the only way that I could think court as sort of visually it being clear that a court was what it was the court scene in Phoenix Wright, and I got a very symmetrical reference image of it. So I thought, well, what better time to learn how to use that. One thing you'll probably be able to tell from this is that the eraser for some reason doesn't work with the symmetry tool. There is something you can do with the eraser tool itself to make it do so. I've not looked that up yet, but it's a good way of getting the whole scene actually symmetrical. And then I start roughing in one of the lawyers, who the pose hopefully gives away is Kate Bush, because I don't know Kate Bush's appearance well enough to at all start making something look like her, especially not also looking like topiary, which is the plan for this. I realised I hadn't finished the court scene, so added that in the background. This is a pause while I pull up reference images of the other Bush, George W. Bush. Try and get in sort of most distinctive parts of his facial silhouette, and a somewhat shruggy pose of being accused. He's being tried for war crimes at the Vague. Sorry, sip of coffee. Don't know why I bothered trying to put facial details on Kate Bush here, because you've probably seen from the final image, which has already been posted, that that doesn't really come across. Here I'm just sort of trying to find tools that look like leaf, and end up just going for flatting in the colours in a slightly rougher shape, because, you know, bushes aren't neat shapes. And so figuring out how to do the texturing on top of that, rather than try and have the texturing on the bottom layer as well. And this is sort of the first attempt at texturing. I'm trying to use the pointillism tool here to sort of get sort of speckled, like you're seeing the light shining off individual leaves, but there's no way I can stop it being an ellipse, which appears to be my enemy throughout this entire month, does ellipses. I keep going with it for a while, and you see it's sort of getting the rough idea, but it doesn't really look very topiary-y. Eventually I'll try a different tool, and pull up this one and find that one of the particle effects you can choose is just a leaf. Annoyingly, you have to set both colours on the tool, so normally you just have... There are two colours on each tool, and I don't know why. Like in Paint, one of them's right click and one of them's left click, but right click in this doesn't draw. So it's just you've got two colours that you can switch between, but this uses both colours on this tool, and I suppose that several tools probably do likewise. So having to set the same colour for both of them, just putting the highlights in. What I should really have done was put in the shadows first, because of how the lighting is happening, all the shadows will be underneath all the lighting, because the shadows are sort of inside, and that would have given the texture a bit more clearly. But yeah, it's really hard to make something look like leaf, and I don't think I managed, but hey. And then I tried putting on some sort of regular shading, because as well as being leaf, this is, you know, 3D shapes, so it has some standard lighting on as well, which is going on way too thick, so I'll go over that with an eraser later, but, you know. So you can make out what the shapes are. You probably can't make out that's George W. Bush. You can make out fairly easily that that's Kate Bush just because of the pose. Because you look up Kate Bush and all you get is... Oh, yeah. At some point, for some reason, the illustration window came detached from the main Clip Studio window. And I never managed to get it reattached again. So that's weird. It would either maximise or be a small sub-window, so I just made the small sub-window fill the area it was supposed to. Trying to get the grass to look like grass, absolutely not working in the slightest. In the end I go back to my usual favourite, the watercolour brush tool. And I forgot that with hedges you should be able to see under the edge of them, really. That would sort of tell that they were hedges, rather than just sort of rough green walls. Oh, scream noise coming from next door. And that's bush cut. Sorry.